What if I'm a pacifist? Good question. So it's up to each individual what their morals and what their ethical code will tell them. Personally, I'm not a fan of violence, believe it or not. I don't like it. I don't really see that it has much of a place in society. Unfortunately, there are others who disagree. I don't believe that anybody should be attacked. I think we each of us have the right to not be attacked. We each of us have the right to go about our daily lives without having violence visited upon us. The issue is that element of society that don't give a flying fuck about your rights. They don't care that you've got the right to not be robbed. They're going to nick your shit because it's valuable. They don't care that you've got the right to not be attacked. They're pissed off. They're angry with the world. You're in the way. You're going to get a fucking clobbering. Oh, but I've got the right to wear what I want. Yes, you do. They don't give a fuck about that. They're going to nick your clothes. They're going to nick your handbag. They're going to nick your watch. They're going to nick your really expensive shoes. I've got the right to do this. I've got the right to do that. I've got the right to have nice things. I've got the right to go to my job and come home and expect it to be in the state I left it. Burglars don't give a flying fuck about your rights. Criminals don't give a fuck about your rights. That's kind of part and parcel of being a fucking criminal, is they don't give a shit about your rights. So it gets to a point with, if we know that the police have a very bad response time in Britain, I can't speak of anywhere else because I haven't looked into it, but in Britain, due to staff cuts of 20,000 police officers getting cut, there's not a quick response time. I've been at work on the doors where we phoned the police and they've said, look, we ain't showing up. We've been told that over the phone. Look, it's the city centre, it's a weekend. For that incident is not a priority incident. We're not going to send anybody out to it. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Okay, you deal with it. We can't always expect the police to be there to show up to help us. We can't expect passers-by to get involved to help us. So, as much as we might say, I don't believe in violence, it's not about what you believe or don't believe. It's about, unfortunately, the person in front of you no longer has a receptive mind to be spoken down. They can't be de-escalated by just talking to. So you're going to have to do something physical. If you are a pacifist and you're completely against the idea of it, I would suggest really, really hone the awareness and avoidance techniques that we offer. If you want to know about them, pop a comment in there and I'll do a video for you on the awareness and avoidance techniques that I offer and that Arbor teaches, and I'll put it out publicly, so I'm not asking you to pay me for it. I'll do it and put it out for free. But work on the awareness and avoidance techniques so that you're not in that position. If you find yourself in that position, however, I would personally say that as much as you do not personally believe in violence, it's not always about you. So what I would say is, if you're in a position where someone comes up to you and says, that woman is about to get raped unless you stop me, as much as it might be against your personal ethos to employ physical violence, it's not about you protecting you. It's about, if you don't get physical, that person is going to get raped. So at that point, if you still say, well, my personal view is I don't do violence, at that point I would say you're not ethical and moralistic, you're a piece of shit, because you've allowed somebody to have that happen to them. So again, it's up to each individual person, but as much as you might not be into violence and you don't believe violence is the answer, unfortunately it's a horrible, cheesy fucking macho line, but the few times when violence is the answer, it is the only answer, because everything else has been exhausted. There's certain people that will not be negotiated with. So if it's a case in point, a few years ago in London there was the machete attacks. That person was not doing it to negotiate with somebody. It wasn't a case of, if you give me this, I'll stop chopping people up. It was a case of, I don't like any of you, I think you're all going to hell, I'm going to take you off my planet. You can't reason with that fucker. That was, you were all, if it's a case of, you're all infidels and you all deserve to die, I'm doing God's work by killing you, you cannot reason with that person. But unfortunately, in that case, a physical response is needed, and you have to be better at the violence than the bad guy. But for the most part, we can de-escalate things. For the most part, we can talk people down. We can let people know that, okay, you've had a drink spill. I'll buy you a new drink. Look, mate, I get that you're angry, but trust me, no one here was looking at your girlfriend. Don't say, mate, no one was eyeing up your missus because she's fucking dog rough. Don't say that. Don't fucking. Speaking from experience, where you make a joke that you probably shouldn't have. Yeah. He's calling my missus a prostitute. No one thinks your missus is a prostitute. I mean, for fuck's sake, look at her, no one's paying for that. That was the wrong thing to say. But it was funny as fuck, so it got said. However, when violence is needed, it is absolutely fucking needed. If you've got someone who is off their head on pills, or if they are super aggressive and violent, but there's a language barrier, you're not going to be able to de-escalate it. You're not going to be able to talk it down. So in those cases, unfortunately, a physical response is needed, and it needs to be that the more we train to make it a swift response and to make it an efficient response, the less chance there is for actual violence. So what I mean by that is, if I think you're going to be violent, if I think you're about to attack somebody, I can line you up, and one shot, boom, I know I can stop you. I can stop you with one shot. You won't be cut, you won't be bloodied, you won't be missing teeth. One shot, boom, I've stopped it. I can then get the people away from the situation. I can get myself away from the situation. I can put you in a position where I can restrain you to an extent. If I've got zip ties, physical restraints don't really work other than unconsciousness if somebody really wants to fight you, but that feels like another clip. So I can do things there without it being overly violent. If you don't know what you're doing and it gets violent, that's when you get the blood and the snot and the teeth and the fucking hair pulling and all the shit. That's when it gets super violent. There's, I think it was UFC 2, I think it was, where Jim Brown was commenting on Hoist Gracie's ability to take people down and to submit them, where there were no strikes and it didn't look violent. Jim Brown says something along the lines of, when you know your technique, you can take the violence out of it. So we tend to think of violence as being blood and snot. We tend to think of it as being strikes. We tend not to think of putting someone to sleep with a rear naked choke as being violent. I mean, it is, because you're still inflicting bodily harm. But so if you're a pacifist, I would genuinely suggest really look into the verbal skills, look into the awareness and avoidance skills. There will be something for you in self-defense, even if you're completely against the actual techniques. What I would say is, please, for the love of all that's holy, avoid any esoteric shit that says it's no-touch knockouts. Avoid anything that says we harness energy and we can use your energy to bolt you in. Because one, you're still inflicting damage on somebody, so that's not pacifism. Two, it's absolute fucking horseshit. So, any comments, queries, suggestions, let me know and I'll do my best to get back to you.